deep ulcer, there is no infection. So if infection is there, then infection should be treated first and then this should be applied. So it is very, very important. One of the important precautions is that don't apply when the foot is infected. So first treat the infection, and once the infection has recovered, then only you apply this product at the site.
Sir, this is Naresh from.
It's the length of the treatment.
This problem will be.
Yeah, so ideally, let's go with the evidence available in clinical phase 3, right? In phase 3, we have done the studies up to 12 weeks. Within 12 weeks, 60% of the ulcers got completely closed. So we would like to believe that within 12-week period, almost any patient who has to get a benefit would get. But then there is a second data that after 12 weeks, for further 12 weeks if we observe, an additional 12% patients got completely healed. So basically I would say that between 12 to 24 weeks is the period where almost anybody who has to get a benefit out of the drug would get it.
From Pune, another company, or maybe it's the same company, V-Life had introduced a similar drug some 12-15 years ago.
Very fine. So we are V-Life also. So V-Life got merged into Novalid Pharma. So V-Life was first founded by me in 2002. Then I founded Novalid Pharma in 2008. V-Life got merged into Novalid Pharma. So you are thank you very much for remembering V-Life.
And it's depend upon the size of the wound that what is going to be consumed. So if you see the cost overall, it is not very costly as compared to what are the others. But I cannot compare with like Ligatin and all. So that's not a right comparison. That's the and it's very easy. We are thinking future when patient come from a small place, get on first dressing, later on locally they can do this. Because these patient transportation is very difficult.
Now please understand that this is a patented drug, right? This is a prescription drug. So it is not freely exportable. This kind of drug has to get regulatory approval in every country where it has to be sold, right? So at this point in time, we are in the process of developing it also for US, Europe and other regulated markets. So once those regulatory approvals are available, then this drug will be available in those countries also. Till then, India, where we have already got the approval. Thank you.
Sir, since the R&D is very capital intensive, so did you get any incentive from the government under the PRIP scheme or any?
That is correct. So we did a lot. We got a lot of support from the government, I must say. We initially got a BIPP grant. Then we got a soft loan to start with. At that time, this BIPP was not there. So we started way back when the BIRAC started. And then we got a soft loan, which we repaid, of course. And after that, we got a grant in aid. So I would say about 20% of the cost of the entire project was supported by the government of India, which we have successfully delivered on.
Sir, it was mentioned that this diabetic foot ulcer is a comprehensive management is required. So, given that IPCA has certain products, how are you planning to package this and market it? Because this, as you read, there's a preventive to the therapy. It's there's so much interventions that is required. So how are you
Presently we are in all orals available, like for glimepiride, gliclazide, then DPP inhibitors, then DAPA, and we've done a very extensive work in hydroxychloroquine sulfate in type 2 diabetes. So already we are very much into diabetes. Barring insulin, rest others we are addressing. So when you see comprehensive and now letrozole, maybe later on, in a total foot care, you need something for other things for dressing. They use alginate and all those things. Maybe later on we can plan. So ultimately the aim is safe foot, get every people aware about this, and have a very comprehensive treatment for diabetic foot ulcer.
So this reference of V-Life came in. So when I started V-Life, at that time the idea was to develop a software platform to fail the drug quickly. So basically, normally the cost of drugs is very high because the molecules fail very late in the trial, and all that failure cost is getting added to the successful drug. So idea with that particular technology was to fail the drug early. So we developed that technology, but there were no takers here in India because nobody was doing research in the first place. So we said that fine, we will use the technology ourselves and prove it. So that's where we started using our own developed technology, and through that we found that this particular drug, esmolol hydrochloride, binds to a protein target called aldose reductase, which is a pivotal protein in the aldose reductase pathway. So it's a self-generated insight, I would say. There was no literature or any public domain information. That's why we could get patents. So we have got patents already granted in US, Europe, Japan, China, and any country that matters. So the worry that somebody would just make it is not going to happen.
So can you say this is a software simulated kind of
I would say that it is software ideated product. Not simulated, but ideated. Converted into a topical gel for diabetic foot ulcer. A product like this has never ever come before from India. So the example of ipca's earlier success with the inflammation drug is it's an oral drug applied in new indication as an oral drug. Here the drug was intravenous injection converted into a topical gel in a new disease area, thereby enabling the company to get global patents. So Novalid holds the global patents for this particular drug. This is probably the first of its kind in India's history of 77 years of independence.
Excuse me, sir.
Just launched. Across the country, we have 4,000 dealers. These type of products are required basically where the doctors are practicing. It's not with every retailers. So I think 2 zone already, it's maybe a good number of doctors available. So maybe another 10 to 15 days freely available. It's not an issue.
And any side effects?
There's no side effect. When you see the number of doctors, we done a survey because this is the one specialty which is not like, it's not like a pediatric or physicians. There's some of physicians are doing this practice, some surgeons are doing this, some of vascular surgeons also. So total in the country there are 2,400 doctors who treat this diabetic foot ulcer, because we collect this data from the doctor who treat diabetes. When the patient comes with the food, where they recommend. So we will definitely in the first phase goes to all the doctors to promote this product, and later on we will expand and we have to create the noise how to save food. So we want that to go to a common man, and I think this press conference will definitely help, because patient as on today is not aware about that, because they know if there is a diabetic foot ulcer, they know somebody who lost the foot 2 years back, they will also go with this, but this will really save a foot, and we'll work on that. Thank you.
The international standards is cleaning the wound twice with saline water, removing the necrotic tissue around the wound if there is any, and then bandaging the wound in a moist environment. This is all that is done as standard of care. More importantly, the doctors prescribe that the blood glucose levels have to be controlled very strictly. Otherwise, the already existing diabetic foot ulcer worsens very, very rapidly. So the idea is control the blood sugar and do this bandaging twice, as just I mentioned.
So like how many days this?
This you have to continue doing. This standard of care you have to keep doing because the wound doesn't heal. That is the problem. So that is just wound management, so that it doesn't get to amputation stage. With the drug Dialcus, the idea is to completely heal the wound, so that it doesn't, the question of worsening and leading to amputation does not arise.
So is there antibiotic topicals don't work here?
No. So there are, diabetic foot ulcers, when they happen, they are not infected. But as the wound remains open because it is not getting closed, it's prone to infection. When it gets infected, then the all the anti-infectives etc. are used, but they don't heal the wound. See, the whole idea is if you keep the wound open, it will always be open to infection. Idea is to heal the wound, and this drug is expected to do that.
And at what stage it leads to gangrene, sir?
Well, infected wound which is not treated ultimately leads to gangrene.
See what I was neuropathy, where sensation is gone, protective sensation. The patient doesn't realize that he is getting injuring himself. So there is a sensory component of the neuropathy. There is a motor component of the neuropathy. So the foot gets also deformed. So there's sort of this. So this creates a pressure at certain points in the foot, and that is the point where the most ulcers will take place on that draw. So you have to relieve that pressure. Proper foot care also is becoming very, very important part of that. So pressure offloading becomes very important, and so gangrene occurs because there is no circulation. So dead tissue is called as gangrene. So when that part is and it at the circulation is compromised, then it is infected, and that creates a great problem, and that is responsible for the amputation of these persons. So preventing this is very important. So like he mentioned, most of the local treatment, you have to take care of the wound. There are local antiseptics are there. You have to clean the wound daily. Twice daily dressing is required. So all this is very, very cumbersome. So it adds a lot of burden on the patient and relatives as well as on the healthcare system. So it's very important that prevention is, that is why given much more emphasis there. So you inspect the peripheral pulsation, see how much there is circulation there. Like you check pulse in the hand, you can also check your downward pulses. You can do ultrasound and see how much is the circulation compromised. As I was mentioning, that we also have another drug which is being marketed by eff.य in another division called as silostazole, which comes with the brand name Zilas, and that drug addresses the peripheral circulation as well. So it is important that we address the not just topical therapy is going to help. You may require even serious antibiotics and hospital admission to treat diabetic foot infection often, because you just seeing the sight of the foot will frighten you that this is a type of complication which takes place. It's a very deadly complication, diabetic foot disease. And so whole emphasis on prevention, and then comprehensive management, manage blood glucose very well, manage the circulation to the extent you can, and if required the vascular surgeons are also called in to help in those who have very severely compromised vascular functions. And a neuropathy part also you need to manage. So this is all comprehensive management, not just local management is very important to understand.
The mortality rate is 40%. 5-year mortality after amputation is 40%. So you understand what is the level of risk that is involved in getting the foot amputated, right? So idea is that with the application of this drug, we do not let the diabetic foot ulcer reach the amputation level at all, because the wound gets closed.
The work in the field of diabetic foot ulcer, and they have repurposed a cardiovascular drug for the purpose of treatment of diabetic foot ulcer. So over an extensive period of work, and thereafter clinical trial in the country, phase 3 clinical trial were done in the country at a very good centers like PGI, Chandigarh was one of them. At Pune there is a Jalaram Institute of Diabetes is there. At Bangalore there is a MS Ramaiah Institute is there, and at Bangalore also one of the top hospitals, those kind of work is done on clinical work by the top end endocrinologists. They have done the work on this, and this clinical trial is one which is published in a very renowned journal called JAMA in the world. And at the end of the result, they find that with 3 months treatment with this particular product, almost more than 60% of the wound one ulcer get closed. It's a very unique that, and after stopping the treatment, after next 3 months, almost 70% of people have wound closure. So this is the product. Reoccurrence of that doesn't happen. That wound will not open again. So this is an unmet need in the market. All the kind of
this particular drug, the importance of it can be understood from the fact that about 100,000 lower foot amputations happen every year in India. 80% of them are because of untreated diabetic foot ulcers. So this particular drug should be seen not merely as a as a gel, but as a savior of the foot of India. and we have got patents all over the world, including India, in US, Europe, Japan. We will be developing there also and saving some more feet there. So with the help of IPCA, I hope that this drug reaches everybody who needs it, and the amputations are saved so that people's lives are not compromised. And more importantly, this is a quick acting drug actually. So within 12-week period, about 60% of wounds completely close, and in the follow-up period of another 3 months, about 70% plus wounds get completely closed. More importantly, the recurrence of the diabetic foot ulcers, which is a very common trend, is not observed in the wounds that are closed by dialcus. So this is something which is the highlight of the product, and it's a topical gel, very easy to use, and it is a significant leap in terms of the treatments that are available to the patients. Thank you.
Emphasize is that type 2 diabetes, which is basically occurring in adult onset diabetes, is the incidence in our country is increasing phenomenally. The just released ICMR INDIAP guidelines, where survey was carried out throughout the country in all the states, it found that the incidence of type 2 diabetes in our country is currently more than 10 crores. So it is covering almost 11% of the Indian population, and this is exploding at a very faster rate. It was not expected to reach this fast, and prior to diabetes we have a pre-diabetes status where the glucose homeostasis is not normal, the glucose metabolism is not normal, and that incidence is, as was mentioned, was 15% of the Indian population has pre-diabetes. So together if we take diabetes and pre-diabetes, 27% of our population is having this phenomenon. And why we are, why we would like to emphasize on this is that prevention is the need of the hour, because diabetes is not a just disease of a glucose disturbance. There is complications of diabetes. So these complications, one of which we are discussing today's product for, which is diabetic foot ulcer. So diabetes classically affects the smaller blood vessels, which is called as microvascular disease, and it affects the larger blood vessels, which are called as macrovascular complications.